In the wise words of Nate Tibbetts, Stephen and I are about to be hooting and hollering about the MVP race. What is up, PHNX Mercury family? Welcome back to the PHNX Mercury podcast. I am your host, Erika. This music is egregiously loud in my ears, so I don't know if you guys can even hear me. But Stephen Pridgeon-Garner, my PG1, QB1, on and off the field, on and off the court, in and out of the studio. Sorry, that music literally is getting me off my train of thought that I would normally be on at the beginning of this show. It feels like I'm being assaulted, but Steven, how the heck are you doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? What should have been a Monday afternoon, we'll explain here in a second.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yesterday was wild on the weather side. Um, I'll let you dive into those things, but yeah, we are here with y'all today for a pseudo pregame show, if you will. So appreciate y'all making the time before the game. Another very important game for the Mercury coming up tonight. We'll talk about that as well as the happenings of the weekend as well. But all is well over here. How you doing?
Not too bad. I'm gonna be honest, I am just glad that our lovely producer Kevin Thomas was able to make it back to the studio because man, I just saw that video PHNX Sports put out and my guy was missing, man. They left him at the office at the old PHNX HQ. That's not very polite of them. So I'm glad that everybody was able to be gathered at the right time for the PHNX Mercury podcast because I was a little worried. I was like, man, y'all put this video up. I see the mural behind him. I know that's not at the new place. What the heck? Y'all just left him behind? That's not very polite. But nonetheless, we ball. Kevin, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. I would never miss the PHNX Mercury podcast.
Well, unfortunately, I did, and that was yesterday. And Kevin, you can go ahead and bring up the picture. If you live in Phoenix, it actually hit me before it hit you guys down here in Tucson. The Great Haboob of August 25th, 2025. I guess it was just a warning because I don't know, but this thing was absolutely diabolical. Got home, no power. This place was like literally pitch black. You guys know I have three dogs. It was a little chaotic in my house. I'm not gonna lie. But the drive home, genuinely the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. You just that's my roommate driving right in front of you, in front of me in the picture. And the way, Steven, I'm not capping, his car was just disappearing into the abyss. We'd be driving for a little ways. I'm right behind him. I see his taillights, and then boom, disappear. I'm like, ooh, so I was blessed to make it home. It was very crazy. It was hailing. It was all sorts of things under the sun, literally, because as you know, Stephen, this is your first true summer here in Phoenix, right?
First true summer, second, I guess technically third sandstorm.
Okay.
Um, this was
Yesterday,
by
what you
far
can
the most extreme, though.
Yeah, you can officially call yesterday a haboob because it was dust into rain. It was diabolical. So, yeah, yesterday was just a nuts day. So, shout out to you guys if you were, expecting us to be on your screen yesterday, but you didn't get it. So now you're getting us today. One other thing, a little housekeeping I got to get to real quick is I got to say thank you from the bottom of my freaking heart because Friday was the first and only takeover of the 2025 Mercury season, and it was a night. Okay, we sold it out. Everyone showed up. It was a time. A time was had, is some people might like to say. It- I said it over on Twitter, but I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, cannot thank the diehards enough. The community that we've built here with the PHNX Mercury pod exclusively is genuinely the best. I've been on the Wildcats pod a long time. I have watched the other pods a lot. The community here with the PHNX Mercury Pod is just it's not like everyone else, and it's really something special. So Kevin, you got to show the picture of the group at the club at the PHNX. This picture, man. Last year was just like six of us, it felt like, but this year it was a whole group, and we had a blast. If you guys heard the MVP champ on TV, you can thank me and my girl Leah for starting that because if you can hear that I don't sound like my normal and usual self, it is genuinely because Leah had me up and out of my seat the entire night. So it was a great night, and I needed to say thank you to all the diehards and all the people I guess that aren't diehards maybe that came through. It was a great night.
It was. We can't do what we do without you all, and you all deserve it for the ways that you show up for this team in particular that we cover with this podcast. So we appreciate y'all. That's one way that we go about showing it outside of just producing content for you guys, providing that culture and in-person experience. So appreciate everybody that was able to come out. I know we had a handful of people that weren't technically part of the group that came with us to the game, but they still showed up and got to see us. So even you all, we appreciate you all. Again, we can't do what we do without you all. Community is everything for us, and we definitely took steps in cultivating that even more on Friday, and a win that was very important and that was also historic.
Yeah, and I'm ready to get into it because it was a great game, top to bottom. I mean, I could be wrong because the night as you can hear in my voice, I had a little too much fun. But if I recall, the Mercury led top to bottom. Am I wrong, Steven?
I'm double checking that now. I believe it was maybe a one lead change, but the Mercury led for a good majority of that game.
Yeah.
There's no one lead change. That was it. No times tied, one lead change.
Yeah, so the Mercury, held it down here in Phoenix. Luckily, I've been saying it since the very first regular season game we watched the Valkyries play that the Valkyries were a no joke kind of team. They start defensive first and they stick to their true principles. And they're coached very well, and they're gonna go out and get some wins that no one was expecting them to get. So this win was a huge win for the Mercury on Friday, and it put them back in fourth in standings. And it was historic in a lot of senses. It was another double for Alyssa Thomas, another. And we've been allowed to say that what 5 times this season, and she's on track to break her own record for the most triple doubles in a season. I mean, you're watching greatness here in Phoenix every week, like literally week in and week out. It never stops. If it's not AT, it's one of the rookies because that was also a historic game for the rookies. With I believe Monique Akoa Makani being the rookie that hit 4+3s in that game. Am I wrong? I'm right.
Yep, correct.
Period. So that would make the Mercury the first team in WNBA league history with 4 different rookies hitting 4+ made threes in a game this season. So it was a great win for the team.
It was. It was very much one of those. We have a big three, but it's not just about the big three type of wins, and that's something that on this podcast at least you've been hearing a lot. I think some people kind of lost that in translation with the way that the roster was built, and continue to not watch the games because if you watch the games, the way that this team plays is not super lenient on either one of the big three. Obviously, Alyssa is an attention grabber because of the ways in which she goes about playing and the status that she's been as one of the 4 best players in the W for the past 4 to 5 years. But it's generally a comprehensive team, very much a team. And that was another example of it, the ways in which they went about navigating that game and ultimately getting the win.
Yeah, and to go back to Alyssa Thomas, I feel like we gotta have a good conversation about AT and just the way she's been playing, not just the triple double of it all, but the way she really is putting the team on her back, but it's in a kind of a quiet manner most nights. Yeah, the triple double number is loud, but everything else about what she's doing is quiet, and it's the cross court dimes, it's her telling where everybody else to be on defense, and everything that doesn't show up in the stat sheet that's really making her game separate herself from everybody else. She is one of the best players at pursuit. I, I talk about pursuit of the basketball more than anything on this show. I feel like I bring it up so constantly because it is like one of my biggest characteristics of a winning team. If you don't want the ball, then you don't want to win. And AT is always looking for ways, whether it's to insert her teammate into the passing lanes or get herself into the passing lanes, but to take away the ball and get it down the court as quick as she can to make sure that the team can score as quick as they can, because that has been a recipe for success for this team. And Alyssa Thomas is getting it done over and over for them.
She is. Kevin, we can go ahead and get up the graphic of Alyssa Thomas's sixth triple double from Friday's win. So for reference, before we get to the stats, her sixth triple double from Friday's win ties only herself for most triple doubles in a single season. And 8 games left, including tonight's game, 8 games left. If you're a bettor, I would put money on Alyssa Thomas getting another triple double within these next 8 games. And it might just be tonight that you cash in on that bet. But specific to Friday's win over the Golden State Valkyries, 13 points, 16 assists. And I paused there intentionally. That's the most assists in a game this season. 16 assists. Also had 12 rebounds. And generally from the assists that she created, 40 points that they got from assists passes from Alyssa Thomas. I think it was 8 threes and 8 twos, if I'm not mistaken, that she accounted for over the course of the game. So you put that 40 in tandem with the 53 points, and she was like, I think 60% of the offense came from Alyssa Thomas in that game. What more, like, you really just get, if you really start to run out of adjectives, you got to thumb through the entire dictionary to find new ones and still come up short because her greatness is sustained. It's just what she does. She is the engine. She is this season's MVP.
I saw this tweet earlier today, and shout out to Terp QT. Uh, Alyssa Thomas leads the league with 284 assists, which has resulted in 712 points. And then if you add her own points on top of it, she is responsible for 1,208 points for the Phoenix Mercury this year. Let me say that again. 1,208 points Alyssa Thomas is responsible for the Phoenix Mercury this year. And like we could sit here and talk about all the adjectives in the world, like Steven said, but like if you don't understand how incredible that is, then you will never understand the greatness that is Alyssa Thomas. Like that is an absolutely insane number. I know for a fact that the 712 leads the league in terms of points created, but in points responsible for, I'm not exactly entirely sure where she lands, but I'd imagine it's first. And she just continues to be exactly who she is night in and night out, and it doesn't matter who the opponent is either. And you know whether it's a playoff team or a bottom three team, like she's getting it done for the Mercury over and over again.
She is. She just does what she does, and she does it better than any other best player in the W as far as uplifting the other players on her team while also not allowing for her individual play to fall off. I think she's been tasked with more because of there being more kind of questions around her roster than the other MVP candidates. And I'm just doing some quick math right now. So 1,208 points from Alyssa Thomas this season. The team has scored 2,985. That rounds out to 40.4% of the team's offensive output coming from the hands of Alyssa Thomas in some capacity. Now, that
Mind you,
also
she missed
doesn't
5 games.
factor in secondary assists where she makes the right pass, which leads to someone else passing to the person that scores, or the things that she does as a screener for this team, or the things she does as a cutter for this team, the second chance opportunities that come from her multiple efforts. I think you're starting to understand what we're getting at. There's a lot of value, and if that's the middle word in most valuable for MVP, that is Alyssa Thomas.
I was excited when got the notification that you guys started the MVP campaign on the PHNX Mercury Twitter account today because we've been holding on to that, and it's finally the right time, to be honest with you guys, because frankly, like I'm not sure that we've been loud enough on social media, so we got to start getting louder. I got to zoom in really close to my screen. Kicking off our MVP campaign for Alyssa Thomas over the next 8 days. Currently at 284 assists, seventh most in a season. She's 53 behind the record for most ever, which is 337. She needs to average 6.75 assists. She averages almost 3 more than that over the final 8 games to again break this record. Alyssa Thomas is our MVP. We've been saying it on the show over and over again. Now we're going to be saying it, screaming it all to social media for the next 8 days and likely on where there afterwards. But what Alyssa Thomas has been doing in Phoenix is just absolutely ridiculous, and it has to be respected. I mean, it has to be. When you're talking about greatness, if you're leaving her out of the conversation, you're really just not having the conversation. And I said it on Twitter the other day, like, I think Asia is playing her rear end off. But I think Nafisa has been outstanding. But I think what Alyssa Thomas has meant to this team, and that 40% number is absolutely insane. Like, so I mean, you can't undervalue what AT has meant to this team at all.
You can't, and it just simply takes watching the games. This team is not weak when Alyssa is not on the floor, but there is a drop off from an MVP caliber player just simply not being on the floor for the team because she's just that important, whether she has the ball or doesn't, whether she's guarding the ball or isn't. Her impact is felt regardless of where she is when she's on the floor. Also, by nature, with that, it's felt when she's not on the floor. And obviously with Fee and Asia Wilson in particular, both of their teams feel when their presence is not around as well. It's to varying extents though. And naturally for it, either of these three is going to be heavily in favor of Asia if we're talking about how much your team needs her based off of numbers because the team was in the gutter when she wasn't around and people were writing them off, which I don't understand why considering we were barely a third through the season and she was clearly coming back from an injury at some point. And almost immediately upon returning, they've been the second best team in the WNBA, pretty much since that point. So I don't know why people were writing them off. So that part is going to definitely lean into Asia, but you can't ignore the ways that the Phoenix Mercury have to shift things around when Alyssa is not on the floor. And I think that speaks directly to just how valuable she is. Not an indictment against the players that are on her roster. It's just about how great she is as an individual player.
Well, and I wanted yesterday, I had a whole segment planned out about Monique Akoa Makani and her being should being borderline under respected regarding her rookie status and just all rookie team of it all. And honestly, I saw a lot of people asking the PHNX Mercury account to start a Rookie of the Year campaign for our girl Mo. And I had to kind of giggle because she has played her rear end off. She's been fantastic for the Mercury. She's been a you know, in the preseason or even that first week of the Mercury season, so many people asked Steven and I, "Oh, what are the Phoenix Mercury going to do about a point guard? What are the Phoenix Mercury going to do about a point guard? Point guard, point guard, point guard." I mean, literally, the only thing everyone wanted us to talk about in any post or preseason show was what the Mercury were going to do about a point guard, and the Mercury figured it out, and the Mercury went out and got Monique Akoa Makani, and she's been a team player in a sense that she's been able to do whatever they've asked her to do on any given night, whether that's be defend the best player on the team, Veronica Burton, I'm looking at you, or literally just go out and get your own buckets. Like she does exactly what the Mercury need for her from her night in and night out. She has been. If she didn't have to start, I would argue that she was the sixth man of the year, but she has been a starter of for the pretty much the entire season with the exception of one game for the Mercury. So you can't argue that, but she definitely deserves to be not only mentioned, but definitely on the all rookie, list of players.
She should be. I know a lot of people don't necessarily care for watching the defensive end of the floor. But if you're not watching the defensive end of the floor, you're not watching Phoenix Mercury basketball the right way. That's what I would caution, because naturally you'll see a ton of the value that Alyssa Thomas brings, but directly next to Alyssa Thomas with valuable to the defensive end of the floor is Monique Akoa Makani. She's the team's X factor for multiple reasons. I've talked about all season long the games where she's scoring in double digits or knocking down multiple threes. Their record, they have like an 80 something win percentage when she gets to that double digit point threshold or knocks down two or more threes in a game. I think combined they've lost 3 of like 14 or 15 games when she's done so. So they just get the job done simply. And we put that in tandem with the value that she brings defensively, which is it exceeds what she does on offense, even at her best, just because they wreak so much havoc, and that's the side of the floor where they really put teams in a bind and they put pressure on teams nonstop. That's Monique Akoa Makani. The point guard conversations were funny because how could the answer just not be Alyssa Thomas?
Right.
But if it's not Alyssa, more often than not, it's Monique. with a little bit of Sammy Wickham mixed in there, but it's Monique, and Monique's kind of steadying hand. She plays a different style of play as an individual player than Alyssa and Sammy does. And because of that, it's a calming presence in multiple respects. And some of their best actions come when she's initiating in pick and roll with Alyssa or in pick and roll with Natasha Mack and them creating offense out of those things. So, yeah, if you don't care for or don't watch most of the defensive end of the floor, there was a 30-something minute film session that I did highlighting a lot of the things that she does and brings value to the Mercury on the defensive end from last week. Still very relevant. It'll probably be relevant throughout the rest of the season, just because she sustains at a certain level. And a lot of the things that you see in that, you'll probably see in tonight's game and the rest of the games for the rest of the regular season or however long their playoff stretch is. So definitely go check that out, I would suggest. But you'll also learn a lot about Natasha Mack in that as well.
Real quick, Steven,
Uh-oh.
I don't mean to do this, but I hate when you tell people if the video is going to be timely or not. Not because I'm like a producer or nothing, but mostly because people with anyone, any interest in basketball, you can learn something watching the Steven studies, even if it's from a year ago or whatnot. You can take stuff away and elevate your level of basketball knowledge regardless. So watch the Steven studies, take something out of it.
Thank you.
Learn something about pick and roll defense while you're at it.
Thank you. And if you're not going to watch it for me, watch it because Kevin produced it.
Facts.
That's what I'm screaming. Okay. Well, I want to get into this opponents versus the Mercury before we get to the ad break. I think it's a really valuable conversation we have. And I want you to talk us through this graphic that Kevin made for us. So, Kevin, if you want to hit that for us.
Yeah. So, looking at the Mercury on the defensive end of the floor. So, coming into media day, a lot of people asking about the offense. A lot of people asking about how's it going to work with the big three. Everybody's initial response is defense, and then answering the question in terms of how it was presented, speaking to the offensive end. Defense, 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 and defense. To that point, at this present moment, they're 4th in defensive rating in the WNBA. They're 5th in effective field goal percentage for their opponents. So they're doing a good job of taking things away from their opponents. They're like 2nd in defensive field goal percentage and 2nd in 3-point percentage allowed to opponents. So super elite in that. They're forcing turnovers at a rate of 19%, which is 4th in the W. And they're also 4th in how often they're conceding offensive rebounds to their opponents. So these numbers are all elite marks. These are the spaces you want to be operating in if you're going to be a team that identifies with defense. You put that in tandem. You have the numbers. Now you put the numbers in tandem with the context of the roster. Think about their personnel. What type of defenders do they have? Monique Akoa Makani, Alyssa Thomas, Satu Sabali, Dewana Bonner, Natasha Mack. All 5 of those players have one specific thing in common, and that's that they all have plus size in terms of height and wingspan for their respective positions. Now, they all go about putting that dynamic across the defensive end of the floor in different ways. But when you put it all together and then you mix in players like a Kat Westbeld or a Kalia Copper or a Lexi Held, that's a ton of defensive personnel that you can mix and match lineups with, not lose the value that you desire to have on offense, but continue to sustain a level on the defensive end of the floor. So where you can match up with different types of opponents in different types of ways. You can play with Alyssa Thomas on matchups because you have Kalia Copper, Satu Sabali, Dewana Bonner, Natasha Mack, Kat Westbeld in your lineup and in your rotations. There's just so much versatility that this team has, and the fact that they've pushed a lot of their chips to the defensive end of the floor and it's garnered these top 4 or better results across the entire season so far, even with the ebbs and flows and the ways that things go, that speaks a lot to a team that understands who they want to be and the things that they need to do habitually to stay in alignment with it.
I'm thinking about what you said about how they can just defend different types of opponents all the time, and I'm thinking about how often in halftime they come out and they're all guarding completely different people, and by they're all, I do mainly mean Alyssa Thomas, because they do oftentimes change the matchup with her because they can be so creative, and when you can, why wouldn't you? And to Stephen and I's previous points on almost every single PHNX Mercury podcast up until this season, or up until this point in the season, I should say, they have so many options on where they can put AT that they have to be creative now, because when it really matters in in the playoffs, they want to understand what exactly works for everyone else around AT. So yeah, they can put AT wherever they need her to be at the best time for her. But when is the best time to move Satu around to make it work best with AT on this defender here? And blah blah blah. So it they need to be creative now, and that's exactly what we've been seeing, and they're finding what works well for them. And as we see the team get healthier and everyone starting to play, getting to the point where they should be ready for the playoffs, which is where this team is most certainly headed, then I think the team will become a little less creative, but I think it will look so much better all the time, because it will be so cohesive, because they understand the power that they have with the creativity that they can have on defense.
Yeah, that's very, very important. And that, speaking to that point, look at the fourth quarter against Golden State. For 8 of the minutes that were played in the fourth quarter that were relevant to the game, the last 2.5 minutes were about garbage time for the most part. Those important 8 minutes where they created separation that Golden State eventually waved the flag to. Who was on the floor for the team in those minutes? Monique Akoa Makani, Kalia Copper, DeWanna Bonner, Satu Sabali, Alyssa Thomas. None of the bigs were on the floor in that lineup to win that game. The presence of the bigs is important for the team, but the identity of the team is defense and versatility. And they're able to play to that most when they can downsize a little bit with Alyssa at the 5 and Satu at the 4 and DeWanna at the 3, and then mixing in 2 other players with that. Could be Sammy Wickham and Monique Akomakani. Could be Sammy Wickham and Kalia Copper. Could be Mo and Kyle like we saw in the Golden State game. Could be Lexi Hill mixed in with either one of those 3 players, and they can make those lineups work because of the things that the interchangeability that they have, the versatility. That's what this team is made of, and when it comes down to it, that's going to be what ultimately decides what their ceiling is this season. The versatility and being able to use those lineups creatively and at important times, and those lineups being able to answer whatever it is that the game's questions are posing to them at that moment.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point about the size is important, because I mean, Natasha Mack was very important early in the game to establish the presence that could be there. And if you want to play around inside, fine, we'll send Natasha Mack back in. But if you don't, we got everyone else that can play everywhere else on the court. So they have whatever they need to plug the hole and shut down the opponent's recipe for winning. They have that plug, and I think they've been figuring out the right times to push the buttons, and push the plugs. And it's gotten better throughout the season. And I understand everybody's frustration with the lack of bigs and blah, 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 blah. But oh my goodness, the
I
Mercury is
don't.
winning games.
I don't. I don't. I don't. I do not.
But
Only because you said everybody. I just want to make sure it's known I'm not worried about that part of it.
not
Because
everybody's frustration.
we just showed the defensive numbers for this team. They're 4th in offensive rebounds allowed to their opponents, meaning that they're one of the 4 best teams at closing possessions with the rebound. They're the best team in transition. You can't get to transition without being good on the glass. You can't be good on the glass without being good at playing defense. Can't be good at defense if you can't guard the ball. There's literal incremental steps to being successful, and they don't skip any of those. Matter of fact, they're elite at almost every last one of those things that I just got done speaking to. That's not a team that needs to worry about having more size on the court. Now, obviously, you go against a team like Atlanta, you might want to play one of your bigs, but then again, if you don't miss layups at inopportune times, that changes a lot. If you knock down the threes that you create for yourself on offense, a lot of it because of your defense, that shifts a lot as well. If you take care of the basketball, that has nothing to do with size. Like, none of this team's issues come from a lack of size. They have size as an addition to, but that's only when they need it. And you have to kind of apply the context of it. Did they lose this game because player X didn't play, or because they just don't have enough of something? Or was it the game process that they were out of touch with, or they had an anomaly type of game with turnovers, or an anomaly type of game with 3-point shooting, or missing shots at the rim? Like, those documentable points matter. And if we're being honest and we're earnestly, comprehensively looking at things and assessing it for what's going on in the games and not who's playing and who's not playing, there's no way you can get to one point of thinking that that's the resolution without having seen and understood what all of those other things mean in the process for this team. Alyssa Thomas is like third in rebounding post All-Star break as an individual player. And she's in the midst of a group of centers in that group, and she's not a center by tradition. Like, I just need people to just be more. You just gotta watch the games. That's how I summarize it. You gotta watch the games.
Well, Steven and I are going to give you a little preview to the Sparks game and also maybe some Mercury trivia after this quick break here on the PHNX Mercury podcast. Guys, everyone needs a checking account. I know Steven's got a checking account. I got a checking account. Kevin's got a checking account. We all need a checking account to keep our lifestyle at exactly where we want it to be, right? And that's why MyStyle Lifestyle can help you. Mountain America's MyStyle Checking Account has just the perks for you. You can enjoy restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and so much more. Make MyStyle your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by NCUA, membership is required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration or activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Y'all, the other day, I went out, I had a little fun, and then I lost my fuel card again. But thankfully, I found it. I found it right on the floor. The next day, I guess it fell out of my pocket. You know, I keep that thing on me, and that thing is my Circle K fuel card because it's like the most important thing in my entire life. But you can be just like me. Get discounts on fuel, discounts on Polar Pops, Frosters, all the snacks and goodies they got. I literally just got a text message from Circle K today to come through because my freaking coupons are about to expire. I got to go through there and get my snacks. But you can be just like me. Download their app, put in your email, put in your phone number. It's super easy to join the inner circle. And then boom, you're enrolled and you get 25 cents off a gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents a gallon on every fill-up after that until you work your way up into the 5 cent a gallon club like myself, Steven, Kevin, all the rest of the PHNX Merc gang is a part of. It's a great freaking club to be a part of. The inner circle is where I like to be. You can be in the inner circle just like me. Join the inner circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. Me and that fuel card about to duke it out. I lose it like once a week. It's, it's really bad. But I do have some good news for you and Kevin. I know y'all were worried because I almost got us all stuck in the parking garage last week, but I did order my new debit card. I know y'all are all worried because I really did almost get us stuck last week, and it was probably more traumatizing for me than it was for you guys because you were just sitting there behind me, but you were probably like, "Can this girl go?" Because we need to go. But nonetheless, we got a Sparks game tonight. Mercury are in LA taking on the LA Sparks, Kelsey Plum, Erika Hamby, and all the rest of the squad down there in LA. And I want to start with Steven's keys because I feel like this is a great place for us to start, to be honest with you. Steven puts these up before the game every week. If you're not following PHNX_Mercury on Twitter, you should be because Steven's literally unlocking the recipe night after night for the Mercury to win basketball games. Honestly, Nate Tibbetts probably should hit up our account just before the game because if his game plan doesn't reflect what the keys are, then he should probably change the game plan.
I ain't going that far now. I'm definitely not going that far. I know a little bit about basketball though. One thing I do know is that since July 13th, the Los Angeles Sparks have had one of the absolute most impactful, most efficient, most dynamic offenses in the WNBA. So for tonight's game, something that the Mercury have struggled with before, in multiple moments, a handful of those moments coming up against Minnesota, as well as Vegas, as well as New York. Akin with all three of those teams, the Los Angeles Sparks have two dynamics. They have an elite creator at the point guard position or at the 2 position, if you will, that can get downhill whenever she wants to, however she wants to, in a multitude of different ways. So containing the ball is extremely important. But they also have one specific person I'm thinking about, but they have 3 different people that can thrive in this role, and that's as screeners and rollers and poppers. Erika Hamby, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And then Azurá Stevens as well as Cameron Brink. All three of those players extremely versatile to going actions with Kelsey Plum. So containing the basketball before anything that those three bigs can do is important. If you don't have to force your bigs to have to switch or to commit to guarding Kelsey Plum, even if it's just help, that keeps them in position to take away all three of those other players if they want to roll, if they want to pop, or if they want to post up. That's going to be the first and most key thing to tonight's game. Doing a good job there is going to shift things for you. My second key, or one of my second keys, was make the threes that you generate. And in tandem with that is also defending the three-point line well. So we talked about the Mercury being one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league on percentage. Not necessarily the highest on volume, but on percentage, the shots that they create for themselves, they typically make at a more than respectable rate comprehensively. They also do equally or honestly even better job of guarding the three-point line. Like I mentioned, the second best three-point percentage for opponents allowed on the season. That's because they're sharp in their shell. They usually don't have to overcompensate by rotating a lot because they usually guard the ball well. But like I mentioned, the four teams that they've struggled against mostly all have an elite point of attack player on the offensive side that can get downhill in a multitude of ways. So contain the ball first, keep yourself out of rotation, defend the three-point line well because of that, and then make the threes that you generate off of that.
Well, and the Sparks are really playing for something right now, considering they're, I think, 2 games out of a playoff spot, a game and a half behind the
Mm-hmm.
Fever, and they're playing some of their best basketball post All-Star break, and they're just putting together really well. Obviously, they got Cam back. I saw, shout out to my guy David Veenstra. He texted me that she was still on a minutes restriction tonight, and it looks like she's going to be playing about 25 minutes tonight. And obviously, Monique is still questionable for tonight. And to Steven's point, is probably one of the biggest keys to winning tonight's game because she guards the point of attack so heavily in for what the Mercury does. So you gotta hope to see Mo play, but if not, just hope that she gets better before the playoffs. To be honest, that's kind of the mode I'm in right now. Obviously, the Mercury are going to the playoffs; they're going to be seeded decently, and the mode I'm in is just get everybody as healthy as humanly possible before the playoffs, so y'all can go on as much of a run as possible. But I gotta ask, Steven, do you think tonight's a gotta have it win for the Mercury?
I wouldn't say gotta have it, but they need to get it though. They need to win the rest of the games. Honestly, they need to go 8-0 the rest of the way. And try to put themselves in best position to play their best basketball going into the playoffs as possible. That's independent of the standings, but naturally, if they're playing their best, they're gonna have home court, and they might be able to bump up one or two spots potentially in the standings. But first order of business, the thing that you can control is playing your best ball, and they need to continue to put it together on both ends of the floor and not be one end gets us by in this game and the other gets us by in this end game. Put them both together across all the lineups you use and start building that continuity that you need.
To Steven's point, like the process has to be correct. Even if you lose, like they need to go about it in the correct way so that this team is primed to what I keep reiterating on this show today for the playoffs. Like this is a team that wants to win something important. And so in order to do that, you need to go about the process in these final games in the right way and play games the way you want to win games in the future. So that way you can build the right habits at the right time and get back to honestly their peak that they were at earlier in the season. So I think tonight's an important game to start off. They've come off the win versus the Valkyries, so they got a chance to start something as far as going on a streak and doing something special before the playoffs. There's 4 more home games. You got tons of chances to come out a few more times to see this team play, and if you're not doing it, you're really missing out. So do be sure to get out and do that. They're going to take on New York this weekend actually, so you can come see Chicago on Thursday, New York on Saturday, Indiana next week, and then the Sparks one more time for that second week in August. So please get your tickets now. It's important. And I think my prediction for this game, um, because I think we should do that because we got to get to trivia. I'm gonna take the Mercury to win this game, and I'm a little traumatized by my last pick because I thought it was gonna be a bigger win than it was, and I just the Mercury has me a little traumatized right now with all these close games. So I'm gonna go a closer game this time, and I'm gonna say ooh, 87-81 Mercury.
I think it's going to be a game that's in the 90s. So, for full context, since that July 13th date that I mentioned, the Sparks are averaging 92.3 points a game. Now, I think there's going to be a little bit of letdown from that 92. I think it's going to be closer to 90. But the fact that they're also third worst in turnovers in that same stretch where their offense has been the best in the W plays directly into the hands of a Mercury defense that loves to force turnovers. So, as I always talk about, if they're forcing turnovers and Alyssa Thomas's bun is bouncing in the wind and you see that time and time again, they're probably winning that game. And I think this is going to be one of those games that'll be a ton of possessions because of the tempo that the Mercury or the pace that the Mercury wants to play at, but also the extent that the Sparks can concede the ball to opponents at times. So I think it's going to be 92 or 91 to 89. And I think the Mercury are going to come out with another clutch win for the team. A team that's been one of the best in the W in those games that enter 5 points or less in the final 5 minutes.
I have to be up at 4:30 in the morning tomorrow, and a close game like that is gonna have my heart just through the moon, and I'm gonna be awake until I might as well just stay up till tomorrow at that point.
I would suggest us getting this show done and getting a nap in before the game because I think it's going to be a close one. Sparks are playing some really good basketball, and they have a ton of good players on their roster as well. So Phoenix has to meet that force with their own tonight.
Ezra's having a career year right now, man. It's been a fun team to watch all see. Even when they were bad, you still almost had to root for them because they're playing with so much heart. And
Yep.
Rakia's playing great. Lynn Roberts is, I think, has done better in the pros than I thought she would because I think it's really, really difficult to go from college into the pros just off band-aid off. Like I think it's a really difficult transition for a lot of coaches. But uh-oh. Oh, um, there was some news this week regarding the CBA, and I just got a text message about that. But I think we'll save that for a podcast we're gonna have later this week because I think we're gonna have a little more time to kind of get into it just a little bit more. So while I think if you haven't read any story on Front Office Sports, go ahead and just after this show today, but right before the game, go read it because it'll give you some insight as to what's going on in the WNBA landscape right now because it's been rather insane over the last couple days. But Steven is right. We got to get this show on the road because there's a game in literally 47 minutes and we got to get trivia done and out the way. I've been excited all weekend for trivia, to be honest. I feel like I have to redeem myself before the end of the season, so I have to keep bugging Steven to do trivia because I gotta redeem myself and get up on Kevin. Like the host of the show, cannot be down on the Like what? This just ain't right. So I'm excited for Steven's trivia. Did we decide it was going to be called Trivia with SPG or Steven's Trivia?
Kevin, is it trivia with SPG or is it? Do we give it a different name?
It can be whatever you want it to be.
Sounds like it's trivia with SPG now. That's what we're gonna stamp it as. All right, let's go ahead and it's gonna be another Alyssa Thomas centric one. I feel like learning more about Alyssa and being able to be a vessel for that because it feels like people still don't understand just how great of a player and season she's having yet again. People get bored with greatness when it comes to Alyssa and don't with others. That's not fair, nor does it make sense. But with this podcast, you're gonna learn and you're gonna enjoy about it because we're gonna continue to speak on it. So obviously, she leads the league in assists per game and total assists this season. For full context, she's third in total passes made this season. And when you factor in the fact that she's missed 5 or so games, that's just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. To the point of her passes, though, she has 806 passes that have led to a shot, which leads the WNBA. Now, the question for you and Kevin is how big of a gap is it between her and second place? And I'm going to give you 3 numbers. You choose the number that you think is closest to what the gap is for her between her first place, 806, and second place, or the rest of the field. So her 806 passes that have led to shots. Is the gap 50? Is the gap 100? Or is the gap 115?
What was
So
the
is the
first
gap
option again?
50, 100, or 115? What's the number that's closest to the gap that is between her and second place for passes that have led to shots? So I'll give y'all a couple of seconds to think on that.
I'm saying 100. That's my
I'm saying
answer.
115. That's my answer.
Kevin says 100. Erika says 115. We can't do a drum roll because I have nothing to drum on, but there you go. The number is 111.
Boom.
So it goes to Erika
No.
because you said 100.
You're right. I don't know why I remembered it as 110. I remembered it as 110. So when he said 111, I was like, boom, almost on the money. But I was not on the money, in fact. I'm broke.
So Alyssa has 806 passes leading to a shot this season. Number 1 in the league. Number 2, behind her, Veronica Burton, 695. Number 3, Chelsea Gray, 679. Number 4, Jackie Young, 589. Number 5, Courtney Williams, 568. So these are all, for the most part, point guards outside of Jackie Young, who's played a lot of point guard in the non-Chelsea Gray minutes for the Aces and has grown rapidly in her playmaking. But yeah, Alyssa is the best playmaker in the WNBA. And that should be heralded because that's not her natural position. She is a forward technically, but her skill set doesn't allow for her to be put in the box. So hopefully that contextualizes some of why she's such a great basketball player and why she is the MVP, because she's doing things that are unheard of from a position that's been generally the best in the history of the game. We've had players like Candace Parker come and go. We've had a ton of other power forwards that have been sensational, including in the league right now, like Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Asia Wilson. What she's doing is different from all of them, and that needs to be valued more. Number 2 on trivia today. Going back to one that we did earlier this season, the numbers have shifted around. We got a little bit more volume from week 2 or week 3 when we did the first one. So spinning the block on assists from Alyssa Thomas this season. So we're going to break it off to 2-pointers and then 3-pointers for our numbers for today. So you know what? We can add in total assists as well because I think that'll be fun. So we got 4 for y'all. Let's go with total assists this season. So who do you all think has the most times that they've scored from an assist from Alyssa Thomas this season? I'll give you 5 names. Let's go Dawana Bonner, Monique Akoa Makani, Kalia Copper, Sammy Wickham, and Satu Sabali. Who scored the most times, not the most points, who scored the most times from an Alyssa Thomas assist this season?
I'm gonna say Monique Akoa Makani.
Okay. Erika has Monique. Kevin, who you got? Between Monique, Dawana, Kalia, Sammy, and Satu.
Well, Money Mo, I think, is the correct answer. However, in the interest of being different and trying to earn a point back, I'm going to say Sammy Whitcomb because I need a point back.
Okay. Drum roll, please. So technically, you both are wrong.
Oh.
Do we give a point for who's closer in this situation, or is there just no point at all?
I feel like it should be no point if we didn't get it right.
No point.
I feel like that's some sucker stuff to do it otherwise.
Okay, because that would have been a point for you because number one is Satu Sabali with 47. Alyssa Thomas has 47 assists to Satu. In that second, 1 assist off, 46 to Sammy Wickham, 44 to Monique Akoa Makani, 42 to Kalia Copper, and already 36 to Dawana Bonner. So a little bit of fun with that one. It's been kind of going back and forth between Monique, Sammy, and Satu all season long. Satu is presently up 1 on the rest of the team right now, but stay tuned because we'll come back to that at the end of the regular season because I think that'll be a fun one to dive into. All right, for 2-point field goals, who leads in points that they've scored or times that they've scored from an Alyssa Thomas assist? So we'll go top 3 for this one. Keep it a little easier. You know what? We'll do top 4 because she has 4 players that she's assisted 20 or more times for 2-point field goals. So, is it Kalia Copper? Is it DeWanna Bonner? Is it Monique Akoa Makani? Or is it Satu Sabali? Most 2-point field goal assists received from Alyssa Thomas. Who you got?
I don't like this question. I am going to reluctantly. Kevin, you don't want to answer first?
Oh, I was letting you go. You were one of the hosts of the show.
You can answer first.
Okay. I don't want to big brain myself out of it, but my gut is telling me Satu Sabali.
Kevin submits Satu Sabali.
2-point
I'm gonna
field goals, right?
submit.
2-point field goals. Yep.
I'm gonna submit DeWanna Bonner, actually.
Okay. Drum roll. So coming in at number 1 with 28 field goals for 2 from Alyssa Thomas assists. Kevin is talking to himself.
I am.
Satu Sabali. 28 field goals from Alyssa Thomas for Satu from 2. Number 2, Monique Akoa Makani with 24. Number 3, DeWanna Bonner already with 23 field goals made for 2 from Alyssa Thomas. Number 4 is Kalia Copper with 20. And then kind of a gap. And then number 5 is Sammy Wickham with 12 at number 5 on the team. So, Kevo, you got that one? Let's go to 3-pointers, and then we'll go to rim assists after that because I think the rim assist one is going to be a fun one too. So, 3-point assists received from Alyssa Thomas this season. There are 4 players with 16 or more. There's 5 players with 16 or more, 4 with 19 or more, 3 with 20 or more. Which would y'all rather do? 5, 4, or 3?
4?
You want to go 4? 4 cool with you, Erika?
Yep.
Okay. So cap it off at the top 4. So between the top 4, we have Monique Akoa Makani, you have Satu Sabali, you have Kalia Copper, and Sammy Wickham. Which one of those 4 has the most assists or the most threes from an Alyssa Thomas assist this season?
Exactly. I'm gonna go with Sammy Whitcomb.
Kevin?
Again, need some points here. Money Mo. Big money, no whammies. Big money, no whammies. Let me hear it.
Anybody want to change their answers, or is this what we going with?
God, I hate when the host asks that question.
I'm gonna change it to Satu because you're really stressing me out right now.
I just asked the question.
And see, now that you change it to Satu, my initial answer is now open. And now do I change my answer? No. Money Mo. We're riding or dying.
Final submissions.
All the chat is saying Sammy, and we got ball knowers in here.
Final submissions. Kevin, you said who?
I'm riding with chat. I said Sammy. No!
Erika, you going with Sammy?
No. I already gave it up.
3.
This is terrible. This
2,
is terrible.
1.
I feel like we both get no point here, no matter what.
This is a sad answer performance from us.
Who is your final answer, Erika?
I'm gonna go with Satu because that was my original, and I feel like I just have to stick with it.
I thought you said Sammy originally.
Yeah, your original was Sammy.
Oh,
you
I did.
Sammy.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. Thank God.
Sammy and Mo are the
So
answers.
both of y'all are going with Sammy?
No, I'm going with Mo.
So you switched to Mo now?
Those were our original answers that we're going with.
Yeah, it was
before the nonsense occurred, yes.
I can choose the same. Like, y'all don't have to go back and forth.
I'm here to win, Steven.
Okay.
I don't get no more points for being right but the same.
You ain't get this one, my guy. The answer is Sammy Wickham. She has 12 more 3-point field goals made from an Alyssa Thomas assist than number 2, Kalia Copper. Sammy has 34 assists, 34 threes made from an Alyssa Thomas assist this season. And that's the number 1 in the WNBA right now as well. So they're getting it done. I think number 2 in the league is 33 assists from Chelsea Gray that have gone to Jewel Lloyd, I believe. So that's the number 2. They're chasing them. They're on their heels. But number 1 through and through is Alyssa Thomas to Sammy Wickham, who she told me earlier this season is a player she's been begging to play with for multiple years now. And she finally gets it, and they're pacing the entire W. So go figure. Put shooters around a player that gets the attention that Alyssa does. You usually get good results. Last one to round things out for y'all today. Assist at the rim for Alyssa Thomas. Who has she had the most assists at the rim to this season? Now, I'm throwing in names just for parody purposes. Make this a little more interesting. So we're going to throw in Natasha Mack. We're going to throw in Satu Sabali. We're going to throw in Dewana Bonner. We're going to throw in Monique Akoa Makani. And we're going to throw in Catherine Westbeld. Now, the caveat with this one, there's a tie. So you have to choose the 2 players that are in that tie for the most rim assists from Alyssa Thomas this season. So of those names that I just mentioned, Catherine Westbeld, Natasha Mack, Kalia Copper, Monique Akoa Dewana Bonner, Satu Sabali. What 2 of those 6 names or 7 names that I mentioned are tied for most assists at the rim from Alyssa Thomas?
It has to be Satu and somebody, right? Like, I think.
Don't ask me. I'm asking the questions right now.
I'm saying
Um,
Bonner and Sabali,
Okay.
the law firm. Yes.
The law firm. Okay.
I'm gonna go with Satu and Kalia. Satu and Kalia. Let's do it.
Are these our final answers?
Yes.
Correct.
Drum roll, please. Okay. Mr. Thomas, you are correct.
Bang.
15 assists at the rim for Alyssa Thomas to Satu Sabali and Dewana Bonner. Now, it's funny context because the Mercury have been one of the better teams with cutting in the W. This leads to something that I'll be speaking to more later on this week, probably via film. But one of the biggest points of impact for Dewana Bonner coming to the Mercury, corner 3-pointers, which, funny enough, she leads the team in corner threes from Alyssa Thomas with 10 already. Second is tied at 7 is Sammy Wickham and Kit Loxa. Dewana playing significantly less games than both of those players is already leading the team in corner threes. She's tied with Satu in assists at the rim made from Alyssa Thomas. Because she's such a good cutter, anytime that Alyssa Thomas sees either one of Kalia or any one of Satu Sabali or Dewana Bonner at the rim, posting up or cutting, she throws the ball to them and she never hesitates. And the fact that it gets the attention that it does over the course of the game plays into opening up other players for catch and shoot threes and opportunities to drive against closeouts because of the gravity of their cuts. They're taller than most people. They're more athletic than most of their matchups as well. And they play to those strengths in multiple different ways, which we'll be diving into film on later on this season. Or later on this week, actually. So be on the lookout for that. That'll be relevant to tonight's game. And that's relevant to the lineups that they like to use where it's any 2 of other players on the roster with Satu Sabali, Dewana Bonner, and Alyssa Thomas on the floor together. One of the kind of more fun inter-team dynamics with the team right now. So keep an eye out for that in tonight's game especially, but generally speaking, the rest of the season and into the playoffs.
I think that's Kevin and I tied again in trivia.
2-2.
Yeah. You have like a quick
Yeah.
tiebreaker you could throw us?
Yes, we can do a quick tiebreaker. Give me 10 seconds.
That ain't no problem. I'm going to talk about how much fun I had at Friday's game and how I can't wait to do it next year, maybe in the playoffs, maybe an away game watch party during the playoffs. Lots of options coming up for the PHNX Mercury podcast. So watch out for those because we're going to be doing some fun things, I think, for the playoffs. Obviously, pending placement, where the Mercury are going to be, where we're going to be, blah, 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 blah. You guys know the drill. Plus, obviously, pending any monsoons. You never know when a day like yesterday is going to occur where half the state of Arizona gets wiped out into a dust storm. It's crazy times we live in.
It
Um,
definitely is. Okay, I got the tiebreaker rubber match trivia question for y'all. So I mentioned Alyssa Thomas to DeWanna Bonner is the best corner assist tandem for the team with 10. So if we factor in the rest of the WNBA and look specifically at the top 5, where does Alyssa Thomas assisting DeWanna Bonner for corner threes rank within the top 5 of the WNBA?
this feels like a trick question, but only because I feel like I've heard you
They're
say
in the
that
top
they
5
lead.
for sure. So no trick
Well, no,
question with this.
no, no, no,
Okay.
no, I know, but I just feel like I've heard you say for sure that they were leading, but I don't know if they still are leading.
They're leading the team as a tandem, not the league. They're
Okay.
leading the team. So I was speaking to the team. So in the top 5, where do they rank
I'm
as
gonna
far
go
as that
third.
goes? Kevin, you
I'll go
mad?
second. I'll go second. It's my gut answer, Steven.
Final answers. Erika says
Yeah.
3. Kevin says 2. Does
Hmm.
anybody want to change their answer? Speak now or forever hold your L.
I'm gonna go fudge. Oh my
Steven, you
gosh.
said that Alyssa Thomas has ranks where in assist points created in the W?
By far number 1.
I'm going to go number 1 for this answer.
So I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but for context purposes, DeWanna Bonner has only been around for probably 40% of the games for Alyssa Thomas
Okay,
this
can I go
season.
fourth place?
Okay, Erika says 4.
Why didn't we just move one position in
Both
the
of y'all
opposite
just moved
directions on that
correct.
one?
Correct.
I want to go fourth place, and
Final
that is my
answers.
final answer.
My
Final
final
answer.
answer is third.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. I will give you 3 seconds. 3,
Yeah, I'm
2,
holding my peace.
1. Okay, so Erika, you said 4th.
Hmm.
Kevin, you said 3rd. Drum roll, please. So number 1 in the W in corner assist, I already answered this one, is Chelsea Gray to Jewel Lloyd with 18 made.
Congratulations to you,
18.
Chelsea Gray and Jewel Lloyd.
Number 2, tied with Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner. Technically, they have them ranked number 3. So, Kevin, you would be correct with 10 made corner threes.
I feel like
Azure
I got
Stevens has
played.
10 made corner threes from Kelsey Plum. Obviously, DeWanna has 10 made threes from Alyssa Thomas.
You just played
You
in
gotta
my
be 10
face.
toes. You
That
gotta
is
be 10 toes
crazy.
about your answers. You
You
Real
gotta be
said
quick,
10 toes
hold your
about your answers.
L.
what would
Be
have
Your
happened
L.
if Erika stayed on third and I stayed on second because they were tied?
But like we did before, y'all would have both been wrong, and we would have just had to chalk this one up as a tie, or I would have had to find another quick stat.
Wow. Go me,
I'm
huh?
getting cheated.
But rounding
Man,
out that top 5, number 4, Aaliyah Boston assisting Lexi Hall, 8 corner threes, and then number 5 is Gabby Williams assisting Taneka Gumake with 7. So already in significantly less games together than any of those other tandems. Number 3 are basically tied for number 2 is Alyssa Thomas to DeWanna Bonner for corner 3. So fun things to keep in mind, speaking to the greatness of Alyssa Thomas and naturally the players that are involved with her. I don't know what Noah's doing at the door right now, but I'm leaving that alone. Thank y'all for tapping in with trivia today.
yeah, and huge shout out to you guys for tapping in this kind of impromptu, weird pregame session of the PHNX Mercury podcast. We don't usually do shows like this. So shout out to you guys for being in here tonight. And if you haven't already, please give the show a thumbs up. We can't do this without you guys. And it looks like Noah is already harassing the people in Studio A there at PHNX HQ3.
I'm trying to mind my business, but he's not allowing me to at all.
Well, I will let everybody else mind their business because, frankly, we all got a basketball game to watch in about 25 minutes. So you better lock down on your TVs, lock down on your couch, grab your popcorn, whatever little snacks you need for the game. take your dogs outside and do what you got to do because it's game time here on the PHNX Mercury. Be sure to follow us on socials. Follow Steven at StevenPG3. You can also see him on the PHNX Sun Show, literally making Steven studies. They're great. Y'all got to tap in with those. Like, I'm not playing around. If you like basketball, you like our show, then you're definitely going to like the Steven studies. So tap in with those. Tap in with me at Erika Lee Day. Tap in with Kevin at Kevo Post. And then tap in with all of us making fantastic content together all the time on the PHNX_Mercury on Twitter. Thank you for joining. Be sure to leave a like. We will see you guys. Oh,
Last thing. AT MVP MVP post from us 2 p.m. each of the next 7 days. That's 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time each of the next 7 days. So be on the lookout for those. We got some fun things. You can learn a lot more about Alyssa Thomas via this. So hopefully this adds some context to the MVP race in a little bit of a unique way.
And also we're gonna be live on Friday at 11 a.m. So do not miss that. I think it's gonna be a great show. I don't mean to toot our own horn or anything, but I'm looking into a future crystal ball, and I can see now that it's a fantastic show. So be there, be square. We'll see you guys then. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.